grupo, altars of secret, sex, politics, and money in the Philippine Catholic Church. Ito'y isang aklat na it makes history in the sense that for the first time in the history of the local church, we have a very, shall we say, thorough, in a way, comparatively speaking, thorough presentation of what seems to be ailing the Philippine Catholic Church. And money is clearly part of it. And anyway, just for your information, when this book came out, of course, immediately online, sa social media, kaagad ay yung reaction ng mga Katoliko at ng mga avid defenders of the faith, kung saan yung author at sino mang may kinalaman sa libro ay they try to dismantle their credibility and so forth and so on. And I was not surprised at that. But what surprised me and pained me personally is when now talking to seminarians, I found out that even some professors of theology have denied all the veracity of what is there being said. And I was so surprised that we do not seem to have learned what's happening in the Catholic Church throughout the world today. That this, what comes to us practically for the first time in such magnitude, public, in book form, for everyone to read. By the way, it has not achieved that much review. Do you know why? Because the church people have moved. They tried to kill it. In fact, it was removed from the shelves, and you have to ask the cashier deliberately in order to get a copy. But they managed. Oh, they tried to do everything to suppress the book. But for me, what is significant as a theologian is to find priests, some of them even my students, reacting instinctively by means of denial, by means of cover up. And then by espousing the common line that these people who made this book come out at all, they are enemies of the church. You might immediately judge it. And instead of looking at the issue, at the material, they now go to instead of going to the message, they try to dismantle the messenger. Yung mga ganun reaction, I was so surprised. Do you know why? Because I personally know some, and not everything. I do not know everything about mentioned in the book, but there are big ones there, which I know personally, and it is through official channels. And that the reason why Bishop so-and-so has been removed or has been made to retire ahead, action by Rome, is because Rome has material and evidence. And yet, how can you deny that? If you deny what the book says, then you are saying that the Vatican and Rome had not acted properly. Anyway, I made my thoughts known because that should not continue. If it continues, that the only way we know dealing with the sin of the church in the Philippines, the sins of the church in the Philippines, if anyone says there are no sins in the church and by church people, then there is massive lying. We remain a church of sinners. There is no nation where the church is represented by angels. And the only way to handle sinfulness is not by lying. As St. Paul told the Colossians, stop lying to one another. That was 3 Sundays ago. that the only way to handle it is to face up to it. And that is exactly something that the Lumen Fidei, the encyclical, underlines. Number 27, that faith is inseparable from truth. That you cannot live a life of faith if you deceive yourself and try to cover up things. That's the problem of the church in Europe, in the United States. For so long, the primary concern was the honor of the church. Not the truth, but the honor of the church. And because top priority was the honor of the church, that it should not be damaged, then there was a lot of lying, there was a lot of cover-up, there was a lot of denial, and the crimes committed continued to be committed. And what came out, I tell you what came out that shook the faith of so many people is, oh my God, church leaders are willing to take in the horrible things done to the victims of sex abuse. And for what? In order to continue a charade, the pretension that your clergy are all perfect. Yun po yun. There is a book that just came out last week in Germany. And it's a Jesuit who wrote about the big scandal that broke out 2 years ago in Berlin, where in a Jesuit school, it came out that for the past 30 years, there were 2 Jesuits there who have been abusing boys. And then this Jesuit wrote a book. He brought it out, and the German Catholics, they cut him to pieces because he's damaging the church. They could not understand that it is the same church and the love for the church that moved this Jesuit to open up so that the whole issue, para yung nana, para yung sugat. Kapag iyan ay nagkunwari kang walang sugat, walang nana, iyan ay naroon, umaamoy, kumakalat, lumalalim. Ang ginawa niya ay ito'y pinindot niya. Pumulandik yung nana. Sa pagkakang kanyang layunin ay mawala yung mata. Di ba? Yung tinatawag natin, pagkagat naroon yung mata, patuloy yung magnanana. And at meron siyang analysis na ito po ay hindi ko kilala yung taong yun, pero meron siyang analysis what is behind this abuse of children and people entrusted to us on the part of the clergy. And there is one word in German, Macht, power. This thing I have encountered in reading the reports from North America and from Ireland. And also from Austria. Paniwala kayo sa akin. In all the countries in Europe, there are reports and they are all public knowledge. In the Philippines, one book came out and the church and priests themselves, without learning any lesson from what's happening elsewhere in the world today, automatically, instinctively denied and so lied. Just for the record, so that it will not be said that all priests